Well, hello and welcome to Knife Delights. Today we are going to be exploring the fascinating yet confusing world of Remington knives. Now this is a 2 for Tuesday video. 2 for Tuesday is an easy open tag that I invite all channels to participate in. Just grab a couple of knives and talk about them. So what we have on the table here today is a Remington bullet knife, only this one is made in China. And what we also have is an old Remington made in the USA RH28, and this fixed blade knife was actually made by Remington when Remington was in the cutlery business. And let's just go over the tang stamp here. You can see it says Remington UMC made in USA RH28 4.5 inches. Now this is not the original handle, and we'll be going over that here in just a moment. Now, I do have a fascinating book here, Remington Knives, Past and Present, written by Ron Stewart and Roy Ritchie, and it is a wealth of information, but it does not answer all of my questions. So let's start out here with this fixed blade here, and we can see here in their book, overall length 8.5 inches, and the original handle was a hard rubber, and it was embossed with Remington on it, in it, I believe, is what it was. So somebody has made a new handle for it. I got this in an antique store. And it said, and these knives were made between 1920 and 1940. In 1940, Remington sold their knife cutlery business, sold that out to Pal Cutlery, lock, stock, and barrel. So, now it gets into the question, as we go on into later years. Oh, let me go over the sheath here. The fixed blade came in this sheath, and I often wondered if this was the original sheath. But I believe it is, because it does have a Remington snap on it here. But it looks like somebody customized it. They took it apart. They re-sewed it with some red thread. Somebody scratched some initials or something in it down here. But as you look at the sheath, it's got some artwork in here. So I'm thinking somebody took this apart and personalized it. But as you look and see how it comes to this pointed end, and it has a hole there. If we look in the book here, we can see it looks like it is the correct sheath. Now this one shows it being embossed there. But if you look over in here, some of the other sheaths, they were just plain on the front there. So it could have been, it depended on what year it came out, whether it was just plain or if it was embossed. So I think somebody just personalized this sheath. Now, let's jump ahead to the Remington bullet knives. Now, this knife here, as I said, was made in China. Now I want to point out there's a difference in the tang stamp. This says handmade cutlery, Remington. And embossed on the blade here, it says Remington handmade cutlery. And this is red jig bone. So let's look at the box that this came in. Again, it says Remington Global, China. And razor sharp 440C stainless steel. And there's the model number RE18078. And I will point out that most of the Remington models all just start out with an R. So, of course, we have a RH for this one. So, who is Remington Global? That is what I cannot find out. Who's making these knives? Now, I'm going to put a slide up here. I did find a comment in a forum where they explained and tried to explain all the different companies that have been contracted to make various Remington knives. Most famously, I believe, is the Camillus Bullet Knife series. And, you know, Camillus went out of business. So did the company that bought out Camillus buy the rights to make the bullet knives, and now they're just making them in China, and they've renamed them, Remington Global? I don't know, folks. This is why I am saying the more research you do, the more questions you have. It's confusing. If anybody has information on Remington Global and who's actually making these knives, I'm assuming it's an authorized Remington knife, because they are putting the trademark or registered symbol next to Remington. I'm assuming these are not, fake knives or stolen, the name stolen. I don't know. It is kind of a cool box there. Throws back to the Remington and the Hunter there. Okay, next question I had was on the Remington is, did they actually make a canoe pattern knife? And when I looked through, all the different patterns, and boy, did Remington have a lot of patterns. Of course, I'm talking about the original Remington company prior to 1940. As I thumbed through all of those, I could not see to where they had made a canoe pattern. Now, I did find where Remington did authorize in the Wildlife series this canoe pattern here. And I'm not quite sure who made this Wildlife series, but that's the only inference I can see to a Remington canoe pattern knife. Was it Camillus that made those? I don't know. Oh, and just to back up here a minute, what I meant to say is counterfeit. Is this a counterfeit knife? I don't believe so, but I cannot find out any information on Handmade Cutlery and who that company actually is. Now, so we look at it, it's not a bad looking knife. It's got nice red bone jigging there. There's the front, there's the pile side. We can see it says China there. Now the knife is just a little bit dirty. I just took it right out of the box. I didn't try to clean it up any yet. But it is your typical canoe pattern. Looks like we got stainless steel bolsters. Again, the bullet there with Remington on it in brass, and you got the brass pins, 3 brass pins. So as far as canoes go, it's not a bad made canoe. But I just don't know who made it. Now, before I forget to say this, this is another addition to my canoe collection, and that's being part of HT's Canoe Crew. So HT has the Canoe Crew, and HT loves, I think he loves his red bone too, or red knives. So HT, here's a little eye candy for you. Hope you enjoy this. Now, I hope to do more research on Remington. Again, it's fascinating, it's confusing, because a lot of these old knife labels, let's take marbles for instance. Marbles went out of business. I think it's Taylor brand. I may have that wrong, but another company bought the rights to make them, and from now on, that's the company that's making them. Remington always seemed to hold on to the Remington name, the Remington Firearms Company, and they would only authorize certain patterns or certain knives. They didn't, in other words, they didn't sell the whole license to somebody, to an importer. So that's what's confusing about the Remington. Now, maybe they have sold out their license. I don't know. I just don't, because Remington Arms went through a whole bunch of different gyrations too. That's a whole different story, and that's what makes it so confusing. Okay, so tell me what you think about this Remington handmade, made in China bullet knife. And if you have some clarifying information, why, please provide it in a comment below. I'd love to hear it. And until next time, have a very delightful day.